Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Chairman, I want to speak on this part of the bill, not to make an enormous substantive contribution, but to ask the Attorney-General whether in fact he thinks that this is the sort of legislation that should be being passed under urgency, whether this is the sort of legislation that should be carefully considered, it should go through. There's a degree of agreement certainly around this part of it, and one which is developed over a period of time, and we think that is good. But the question I've got is whether he, as attorney, thinks it's good practice in lawmaking to ram this sort of legislation through the House under urgency. Under urgency with a House in chaos, with points of order yesterday that took about 1.5 question times for one point of order. I mean, it's a House which has not been well organised, and as the Chief Legal Officer of the Parliament, he has responsibility, along with the Leader of the House, for process. And the process under which this legislation is being addressed is actually shambolic. And I want to know what responsibility he is taking for that, whether he has advised the Leader of the House that taking this approach to this bill, which is fair to say constitutional in its approach, is one which should properly be dealt with under urgency, or using the words of Stephen Joyce at the Cabinet table, whether the optics are good about this or not. Are the optics of this good, Mr Attorney-General, or is it something which could probably easily be dealt with in a much shorter period, because you wouldn't be having speeches like this, or I'm sure some that will follow, in a period other than under urgency. As I indicated, as far as this part of the bill is concerned, we will be supporting it. Whether we will be supporting it to closure is a discussion that we're currently having. But it's good that we do have a careful look at it. But whether it is necessary to waste Parliament's time by taking a bill of this type, and I don't want to say it's not important, or there are not some things later where there's going to be some more. Well, it's very important, but it's not urgent. And also it's a bill which could have been dealt with on its merits, rather than having a big debate around the process, if the process had been organised properly. And that's the essence of the point that I do want to make to the Attorney-General, that he needs to take some responsibility. He was the one who was parading around town saying that he wanted to be a QC, or thinking he was going to be a QC, before he became a Member of Parliament. He was someone who was so upset on procedural matters that he might be turned down by a previous Attorney-General for that sort of thing. Prissy, I think, was the word that was used around the place as to his approach. And I want to say, what happened to those principles? What happened to the Christopher Finlayson who wanted to be a QC, and the proper approach to lawmaking which he used to promote? He might have changed his mind on the substance of this bill, and I congratulate him for catching up with people who are well briefed, and who were well briefed back in those times, and I think it's good that he admits now that he was wrong then. But, sir, does he think that this process is the sort of process that should happen? That he is associating himself with Jerry Brownlee's chaotic handling of this House over the last week? Absolutely chaotic. Turned down an opportunity to have things done in an organised and proper manner. Will get much, much less through the Parliament than he would have if he accepted that opportunity. Had longer on one point of order than an entire question time. And now we have the Chief Legal Officer of the Parliament ramming constitutional legislation through this House in a manner which is just inappropriate under urgency.
I call Dr.